So this is a segment of the show where we talk about a plant that is doing very well for us now, and this is early December. And I have got a really good one. We get the information and we pass it on to you, not because we're saying, "Hey, you got to plant this," but just because you might want to. It might be something that you hadn't heard of yet, or it might be something that you want to add to your collection.
And it's looking good right now for
Yeah.
whatever reason, this time of year. So December 5th, it looks great in your Virginia garden. It may look a little bit, adjust your times accordingly, but I think you can do that. You guys are gardeners.
What do you got this week?
Oh, come on. You had a great one you said. So you were going to go first?
All right, I will go first. Illicium parviflorum, Florida sunshine. So this is a plant delights. You just love that drink. It's all gone.
I do. I'm actually I'm getting in for my garnish now. Yeah, very, very low class to do this. I'm eating Michael's really expensive cherries that I'm really annoyed that he bought. They're like Luxardo cherries. Is that the name of them? They're like some ridiculous amount per thing. Like, anyway, I still have anger about this, so I'm eating a couple. We
Okay.
don't have
So,
money for cherries. I've got a deer fence to put in.
well, you have fewer cherries now, so be less
Mhm.
angry. Don't
Sorry,
hurt
your
yourself. Just calm
Illicium
down.
parviflorum.
Yes, that plant. This is a plant delights intro. So they found this cultivar. The species is just grows wild in Florida, South Carolina. I think it zones 6A to 9B is probably about 6 to 10 feet tall. It has medium green leaves, and it's anise.
Yeah, sweet
It's
anise, I think, is the
yeah
common.
is
It's
the
not an
common.
anise, but it has a smell of anise.
It smells like anise. But
Yeah.
this little cultivar called Florida Sunshine has pale green leaves in summer going to yellow at this time. What are you doing? What are she's an orange teeth.
Mm.
Okay, you're gonna have to go to YouTube for that, people.
Wish I had a knife. I could make it even better. I could make them into teeth. All right, go on.
She doesn't grow this plant, so she's very bored and probably jealous. I don't grow it anymore either,
I
but I have
used
some.
to grow it. I've been disgusted by it, but go on.
It's a wonderful. And here's the weird thing about this plant. Early December, it looks good, and it does. Because I'm having a little trouble concentrating. Just let me talk about my plant. The audio people don't care about your orange teeth, okay? Halloween is over. Oh God.
First did that on the top of Mount Kilimanjaro. That's where I learned it. Yeah, you really did hear that correctly. I was taught I was taught by a guide on the top of Mount Kilimanjaro 30
How much
years
bourbon
ago.
did you put in that drink?
I think there was a lot of bourbon in that drink. I'm sorry. I'm not
That's all
used
right.
to bourbon. Go on.
Okay. The foliage is round and it's smooth. And this plant does flower, but I never saw it flower. Of course, it, it grows very. We got
I
to we
don't
got to
have
get
them
it.
in my mouth
I
anymore.
know, but you just look like you're guilty of something. Grows very slowly. It could flower for you. Those would be yellow flowers, but it's interesting to note that when I went on the Tony Avent's Plant Delights website, they didn't talk about flowers. So this is really a foliage plant. It has lime green foliage with these round, sort of glossy leaves, about 2 inches, 3 inches across in summer. And then in the fall, it turns to yellow. Here's the kicker. In the winter, it starts to go kind of gray, ghosty, almost transparent. And it is the only plant that I am tracking that looks like doo-doo in spring. And I know this very plainly because when my house was on the Virginia Historic Garden Week, I was like, what do I do? This plant looks awful in the last week of April. And that is just what happens when an evergreen plant has old leaves that they just haven't kicked off yet. And they don't come off altogether. They just sort of, halfway through summer, you'll be like, oh, yeah, that ugly plant. And then you realize, oh, it's looking quite good now because the new leaves have come through. The other cool thing about it in winter, besides the beautiful color when everything else is looking so gray and drab, it saves its gray and drab time for spring. Luckily, you'll have other things to look at. Is that the twigs, the stems become quite red. It's a slow grower. It wants shade. It wants moist, well-draining soil. It can burn out if it gets too much sun. Deer don't like it because of the anise smell, taste, and It's a fabulous plant, but you don't like it, so you talk.
No, 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 let's be clear on this. First, I have to ask you a quick question. Is it actually losing those leaves in summer, or are they just sort of changing color a little bit and then coming back to a more of a lustrous color like a rhododendron? It's not renewing all of those leaves. I'm just curious because I can't seem to get that damn thing through a season looking good.
It won't look good in spring, and every evergreen that you've ever grown loses its leaves or needles. It just doesn't do it in a way that like a ginkgo, like, "Oh, there they go, all in one
Mm.
day," or a maple or an oak or anything else. So, yes, those leaves are gradually replaced. They don't lose their leaves and then replace them, but the older ones are kicked off, and I assume that the really old ones, which are the ones that look pretty terrible in April when I had thousands of people come through the garden, or maybe 1,000, I exaggerate. That's when those leaves were saying, "Oh, I really need somebody to replace me," and it happens very gradually over the summer. You sort of
It's
lose track
probably
of it,
gonna
you
get
lose.
leggier in the middle, right? It's gonna lose those leaves down the legs of like a rhodo. It's, where you're the middle of the shrub is no longer has leaves, and the outside of the shrub has leaves, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's probably
Yeah.
it because the newer
Yeah.
leaves might hang on longer.
So my deal with this plant is that I adore it. It's gorgeous, and I think you need to be in a solid zone 7 for it to not look like hell in the winter, much less the
Oh,
spring. Because in this, once it's looking good in the spring and summer, I'm all about it. It's a beautiful, beautiful plant. Smells good. Deer don't want it, but for me, it really looks beaten in the winter, and
late winter for
so
sure, for me too.
yeah. Oh, for you too. Okay. So, but
Yeah.
it is a pretty cool plant. It's worth knowing about and possibly growing and trying definitely. As long as you're not in 5B. Sorry, Aaron Shannon. This damn I wish I planted it is not for you this week because I'm doing Pyracantha. Pyracantha. And this is in honor of just going back recently to California and thinking about the pyracantha to my parents' house and the pyracantha that used to snake up the chimney. And that at this time of year in late November, beginning of December, middle of December, we just used to take so many berries off of that thing for indoor decorations. And it's so beautiful. And so, in honor of that pyracantha, I started to grow it here and I grow Mojave. I grow Mojave. How much bourbon did I have?
Yeah,
Mojave and
good question.
which is an
Important
orange
question.
red
See this?
berried
Still half
shrub.
full.
Oh, well, you know what? Mine was half the size of yours, okay? And Teton, which is more of a yellow goldy orange color. Now, I have had success with these pyracantha. I also grow silver lining, which is a variegated.
Here. I do
It's
too,
not
remember?
Pyracantha coccinea. Oh, that's right. You do have that.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really berry. It berries a very small amount. It flowers a very small amount, but it's not really about those berries. And when I say berries, these are not technically berries. They're actually palms. They are in that category with apples and pears where they have that hard center and the flesh around the center. So it's almost like a crab apple, all these little clusters of tiny little crab apples or that type of thing. I mean, that's just nerdy nonsense you probably don't need to know about.
They look like berries.
Those yeah, those big trusses, those big clusters of berries are gorgeous. This plant needs sun. It will eventually support its own weight as it's climbing because it is extremely woody, extremely thorny,
Oh my god.
and
It's
yeah,
violent.
it's
We're not
it
talking
is
we're
violently
not talking
thorny.
it is. I mean, each of those things it should be classified and certified as a weapon. You should
It
have to get
is you
a
just flap it
license to
around at
carry.
people.
They're like over an inch long. They're
Yeah,
crazy
they
big.
are, but I love the fact that it supports its own weight. I mean, although I would say like one tie-in or two tie-ins would allow it. I mean, because it could, come off and flop onto you and kill you actually
Oh,
through the eyeball.
yeah.
Um, it's a plant for that deals with poor soils and drought really well, although it can cope in moisture. I have been told that it does better on the acidic side than on the alkaline side, but I don't know because I have a few. My Mojave, why do I keep saying that? My Mojave is in dire shape, I gotta say,
Oh,
because scale has gotten to it. And when I say
wow.
scale has gotten to it, scale is all up and white scale, all up and down the main stem of it. And because I have been a wimp and I haven't taken harsh, decisive action and cut it down to the base and allowed just it to be smaller, I didn't want to lose all of that 12-foot, 13-foot, 15-foot growth I have. I still have a pathetic looking pyracantha on the side of my house instead of the beautiful, majestic thing that was on my parents' chimney. The moral of this story, children, is be harsh. If I had cut that back 2 years ago when I thought about it, actually, it's more like 4 years ago. Scott Berlinen came out. We were talking about it, and he said, "You need to cut that back." I said, "Oh, I know, but I don't want to."
And now you have scale on a grand scale, which is sad.
Well, I had scale on a ground. Very funny. Ta-dum.
I'll be here all week.
I had scale on a ground scale. I needed to cut it back. It needed to happen. I didn't do it. Now I still have scale on a grand scale, and I haven't dealt with it. But in other news, on the other side of the house, which is much more south facing, much more beautiful, lots of sun, it's doing great. And it's not Mojave, it's Teton, and that one is doing beautifully. Silver lining's doing beautifully. So this is a great shrub, but really zone 6 to 9, and the 6 is a little marginal unless you have really good, dry, warm conditions for it. Dry, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
don't overwater it.
So the best place that I saw that grown was when we built the school that we worked for over 30 years, built a new wing, and there was this perfect place for teenage boys to cut through what they wanted to preserve as a place for a lawn. And guess what they lined that with? Pyracantha. Those boys did not cut through. They did not want to die.
Pyracantha or Poncirus, the gardener's friend.